Stay tuned for my top 10 MCU Marvel Legends of 2022. And you guessed it, it's none of these! Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today I am doing my top 10 MCU Marvel Legends of 2022. Now, anyone who follows this channel knows at the end of each year, I love to break these lists down into different categories, just to give us an opportunity to celebrate more great Marvel Legends. And that's exactly what I've already done. On the channel right now, you will find a top 10 comic Marvel Legends and a top 10 Spider-Man Marvel Legends as we celebrated Spider-Man's 60th anniversary in 2022. Today, we are doing my MCU list, my top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe figures. Definitely a category that I feel goes a little bit underappreciated amongst the action figure community, because let's face it, the movies are a little bit hit and miss at the minute, but the figures are still great. We are still adding brand new characters to the display and forever expanding our live action universe. And that is my only rule for today's list. You have to be a live action MCU figure, whether it be deluxe or Build-A-Figure. The only thing I am excluding is what if figures, as they are based off an animated property, and I like to keep this list a little bit uniform so they are all live action. As you can see, the figures on the table are just my honourable mentions. All great figures, but didn't quite make my top 10 for some reason or another, but worthy of a mention, so let's get into it. First up, the Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure. Now this definitely had potential, but it came in a little bit undersized for me. Still looks good in the flight stand, and even though I'm not including any what if figures in my list, I think this and the two zombie figures with Wanda and Iron Man are worthy of a mention. Now I had to mention the Rintrah Build-A-Figure from the Doctor Strange wave. Now this character must hold the record for the least screen time in an MCU movie to end up with an action figure, considering we are still missing Whiplash from Phase 1 and even key characters like Hank Pym in figure form. But don't worry people, we have Rintrah, who was basically a background character in a Doctor Strange movie. Now I don't blame Hasbro, but it is still crazy. But there he is! Riri Williams, however, made much more of an impact when we seen her debut during the Black Panther movie, and I definitely grew to appreciate this new Iron Man armor design. And the figure is solid, lots of accessories, display options. I just don't think the attachment is there quite yet for a top 10. Both Baron Mordo and Nakia got costume upgrades in their respective movies, and I think these Marvel Legends do a great job of representing that in plastic. Definitely worth a mention. And behind them, we have variant Loki from the Loki Disney Plus series. Now, he is old school Loki, and that Richard E. Grant face sculpt is so good. It could have been top 10 for those reasons alone. Honestly, one of the best representations of an actor's likeness in figure form right there. Another character that debuted in the Loki Disney Plus series, and I am excited about this man's future. Jonathan Majors playing He Who Remains, and many variants of Kang throughout the multiverse, I am sure, and this is the first of many Marvel Legends we get to represent that on our shelves. And yeah, it's a great figure. He even came with the Apple accessory. Likeness is great as well to Jonathan Majors. I just didn't put him in my top 10. Defender Strange there at the back, another character design that didn't get too much screen time, but still a solid representation in plastic. What I really like though is that it came with the portal effect piece, which is now iconic within the MCU of course, so makes for a great display piece. Definitely want more of them, so that's worthy of a mention. Always nice to get another Clint Barton Hawkeye. We haven't got too many over the years. This one's a representation from his Disney Plus series, got a little bit of a beaten up face, great figure. Behind him we've got Groot. Now the Groot isn't all exciting, we've seen it before. I do like this character design for Groot though, and I loved the long tendril roots that it came with. That made it a little bit more interesting for the display. Behind him we've got Ravager Thor, another great Marvel legend, great representation, but a character design that didn't get a lot of screen time. Was it worthy of a figure? I don't know, great figure, but not in my top 10. The attachment isn't there. And then these two civilians, if you will, Sharon Carter the Power Broker and Agent Jimmy Woo. Now granted, not the most exciting of action figures. However, for me, it's all about world building. These two are first time in the line, brand new characters to add to our MCU collection, expanding that universe on the shelf, worthy of an action figure. Okay, so that's enough of that. They are my honourable mentions, but before we get into my list, let's remember this has meant nothing more than a little bit of fun to celebrate a great line of action figures. So whether you agree or disagree, trust me, my mind will change again tomorrow. You let me know your top 3 MCU Marvel Legends in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get into my official top 10 MCU Marvel Legends of 2022. At number 10, it's the brand new Black Panther. Spoiler alert in case you didn't know, but it's of course Shuri. Now, the movie was really nice, and it's nice to have some very accurate figures to represent that. This is a completely pinless, double jointed knees and elbows Marvel Legend with some great range of motion. The sculpted detail on the back is there, but a little lackluster on the paint. On the front though, you do get the golds and the silvers with the nice pattern on the helmet, but unfortunately, we didn't get an interchangeable unmasked Shuri head sculpt, as I assume they wanted to keep her identity as much as a secret as they could until the film came out. So maybe if this figure came with that and a little bit more detail on the back, it would have went further up the rankings. But it's a nice start. Love having figures that accurately represent what we see in the film, and I think this figure does that. But at number 10, it's Shuri. At number 9, staying within the Black Panther movie, but this time someone making their debut not only in the MCU but also in figure form, and it has been executed so well. It is of course Namor, who was part of the Yatuma builder figure wave. Now obviously this is a great representation of what we've seen on screen. Who knew in live action these little wings on his ankles would look so gangster, but they really did. I really like this character's portrayal and his whole backstory in the movie. Definitely curious to see how it sort of goes forward in terms of the MCU, but this figure is so nice. He's got all his armor on here, which is like separate pieces. Now this figure could have moved up the rankings if he came with like his crown from Takukan, I think that's how you say it, but he has his nice spear as well, and yeah, he even has the wings down here on his ankles. Just a really nice figure, completely pinless as well, by the way. Great representation and a really good likeness to the actor as well. Probably should be higher on my list, but the movie has only just come out, so the attachment isn't quite there yet, but I do really like this figure. At number 9. At number 8, it is the Mighty Thor, aka Jane Foster. Now, anyone who follows this channel knows that I wasn't the biggest fan of Thor Love and Thunder, but that doesn't take anything away from how good this figure is in regards to being a representation from what we've seen on screen. We even got the unhelmeted Natalie Portman head sculpt as well, and you know me, I always appreciate options, and this was technically the first time we have gotten Jane Foster in figure form. A lot more toyetic in her Thor gear as well. She comes with Mjolnir, and obviously he has all the cracks in it as well. She is double jointed and pinless, which again is great for a female, so she does pose up really nicely, and it is just a great figure, a really nice female figure that represents what we've seen on screen really well. It's not Hasbro's fault that I didn't like the movie. Still got to give credit when they execute something so well, and I think this is a solid figure, but for me it's only at number 8. At number 7, it is a character I am very happy we have finally got in figure form in the Marvel Legends line. It's of course Wong. Now it's basically the Wong cinematic universe at the minute, as this guy has been in 6 movies and 1 Disney Plus TV show. As he was in She-Hulk, he's been in 2 Avengers films, 2 Doctor Strange films, Shang-Chi, and of course Spider-Man as well. So he is definitely a character we needed representing on the shelf. You know, for me it's all about world building, and he was definitely a gap I am happy to tick off the list in 2022. Now the figure itself is a solid representation from the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Now it's not the most articulated or anything like that. Obviously it gives him a bit of a traffic cone effect, but he is completely pinless. It does have great likeness to the actor as well, and he came with the interchangeable hands so you can do his mystical power effects, which make it very fun for posing and display. So again, this is my list, people. Very happy to have Wong, and I think it's a great display piece. Great figure. At number 7. At number 6, it is the Atuma Build-A-Figure from the Black Panther movie Wave, and this is a great Marvel Legend, and to be honest, it should probably be higher in the rankings than number 6, but like always with these lists, your own sort of character favoritism and bias definitely influences the rankings, and some of the other characters on this list I just wanted on my shelf a little bit more than Atuma, but take nothing away from this great Marvel Legend. Very accurate to what we've seen on screen as well, with the blue skin, all of his armor, he comes with his 2 weapons, a very formidable opponent. Curious to see him go up against Namor in the future. Even has his breathing apparatus sort of on the face sculpt with the sort of hammerhead bone crown, all these spikes at the back, pinless and poses really well. Honestly, a solid Marvel Legend and a great Build-A-Figure choice. Will look great on the shelf, but just the character attachment isn't quite there yet for me. I would have liked to have got a Namora as well to pair up with him on the shelf. Maybe that would have boosted him a little bit. Time will tell, but right now he sits at 6. Making it into the top 5, and this is what I'm talking about when I say character attachment, because at number 5, it is of course Kate Bishop from the Disney Plus Hawkeye series. I really liked that show, and I'm very curious to see her interact with other MCU characters moving forward. I think her chemistry with Yelena Belova was great, and this figure is a solid representation from what we've seen on screen. The likeness to Hayley Atwell is bang on. She is in her very sort of comic-inspired outfit, double jointed, pinless female as well. She can pose up so nice, and yeah, just a solid representation from what we've seen on screen to plastic. Very happy to have her in figure form, and yeah, just a great Marvel Legend. Very happy to have it. Pairs up nicely with the Hawkeye as well, and always nice to add new characters to the display. Looking forward to the future of this one, and we've got her on our shelf already. At number 5, Kate Bishop. At number 4, just missing out on a podium place, and trust me, I'm surprised they didn't make the podium. It is, of course, Moon Knight from the Disney Plus Moon Knight series. Now, again, this is another solid representation from what we've seen in live action converted into plastic in the Marvel Legends line. I love this costume design that they put in live action with the gold crescent moon, with the bandages wrapped around it, the subtle gold with the grey details, hieroglyphics here on the thigh. A really solid, completely pinless, posable Marvel Legend. The only things that sort of let this figure down is we didn't get an unmasked Mark Spector head sculpt. That would have been great to have the likeness of Oscar Isaac for a display option, as we do see him with his cowl and hood down. And also, the hood and cape do make him very limiting. More so the cape. Now, he cuts a mean silhouette, no doubts, but I do think a character as dynamic as this would benefit from a soft, good cape for posing on a display. Now, that's not really the Marvel Legends aesthetic, so I try not to take away points, but there's no doubts it would make a difference. But he unfortunately just misses out on the top 3, but still a great Marvel Legend, and is at my number 4. At number 3, making it onto the podium with the bronze medal. This may seem like an interesting choice, but let me explain, he is definitely worth it. It is, of course, Peter Parker. Now, it seems like an odd choice in a line full of superheroes. Surely this is just a boring civilian, right? This isn't just any civilian. This is Peter Parker. In a line where we have over 10, 11, 12 Spider-Men, we only have one Peter Parker now represented in plastic. And what a great figure it is. Completely pinless, really posable, and the likeness to Tom Holland is like you are carrying a mini Tom Holland in your pocket. It is crazy. The backpack, the untucked shirt, the chinos, the shoes. It is so nice to have a civilian on the shelf. And of course, he came 2-packed with his best friend, Ned Leeds. Now, Ned is, of course, a little bit more limiting with the single jointed elbows, etc. But it's still nice to have him represented in plastic. So I'll give him a little honourable mention here with Peter Parker. And it's nice to complete that trinity of Peter, Ned and MJ on the shelf. Very important to have them all throughout the Spider-Man trilogy. And yeah, so good. Honestly, very happy to have this. And one of the best likenesses in the Marvel Legend line, full stop, period. And number 3, and worthy of it, is Peter Parker. And this year's runner-up at number 2, taking home the silver medal, it is, of course, the highest ranking female, She-Hulk. Another great Marvel Legend from the Disney Plus series. And She-Hulk surprised me. Really liked the show more than I thought I was going to. And this figure so accurately represents what we've seen on screen in that sort of final couple of episodes in her new uniform. It's got the textured detail. She is tall, imposing, completely pinless, posable. And the likeness, by the way, is so good. compared to what is basically a CGI character on screen, or a CGI edited character anyway. It would have been great to get like the lawyer comparison as well as like the sort of transformed Jen in figure form. Really would have liked that just for a sort of display companion. But out of the two, of course, She-Hulk is more toyetic, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of her in the future of the MCU, and we already have her represented so very accurately in figure form. So I wanted to rank a female very high this year, and I think She-Hulk was the best MCU female, undoubtedly. Again, completely pinless, nice tone of green and the purple. It just pops. It looks great, and the likeness, bang on. And number 2, Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. And at number 1, as this year's best MCU Marvel Legend of 2022, it is the Khonshu Build-A-Figure from the Disney Plus Moon Knight series. Now, it's a little bit unfair for a Build-A-Figure to take the number 1 spot, as they always have an advantage. They're always bigger and imposing, well, at least most of the time. This guy undoubtedly is. He is so nice and imposing on a display. He's a great companion piece to both Mr. Knight and Moon Knight, displaying all 3 of them. And he's also a character that once I've seen the show, I was like, no way are we going to get that in figure form. But yes way, we did, and it's so accurate as well. We even have like the translucent purple neck. He's got his big spear. He's got the big sort of beak, all the bone detail, really nicely articulated as well. And he's completely pinless. It's just a really solid sort of obscure character that I didn't think would get in figure form, and it's just executed so well. It has to be celebrated. And again, you pair him up with Moon Knight and Mr. Knight, who I have right here next to me, then that's just a great display right there with all 3 of these on the shelf. Now, obviously, Mr. Knight makes nowhere near the top 10, as this was unfortunately a bit of a letdown. But these 2 figures are great, both on the top 10. But number 1 this year had to be the Khonshu Build-A-Figure. Absolutely imposing, big, posable, and yeah, to be fair, you don't need him posed up in any crazy way. You just want him to look there, stand there, looking menacing as he does. And yeah, and number 1, the Khonshu Build-A-Figure. Pow! So there we have it, my top 10 MCU/movie Marvel Legends of 2022. And remember, my list didn't include any of the What If Marvel Legends, as they are based off the animated series. Yes, they're still technically MCU, but I wanted to keep my list uniform, so I kept it all live action. And as you can see by the variety of characters and figures on the table, it has been a fun phase. Phase 4 is basically like a rebuilding phase of the MCU, as in its entirety, in its duration, Phase 4 is more content than the last 3 phases combined. That's how much we got. So that's a lot of new characters being introduced, and it's nice to see some of those characters now in the Marvel Legends line. Again, for me, collecting is all about world building, and we're forever expanding our MCU in plastic on the shelves, always filling gaps and backtracking as well, which is what I appreciate, new and old, and getting upgrades. And yeah, a solid year for the MCU, and I'm sure 2023 will be another year to look forward to for when it comes to Marvel Legends and the MCU. But as always, this is just my list on this day, just a little bit of fun. By no means am I saying this is the ultimate list. Please, you get involved. Let me know your top 3 MCU live action Marvel Legends of 2022. Give me your top 10 if you want. I promise I'll read them all, but get involved. Give me your top 3 in the comments, because I guarantee your top 3 is going to be different than mine, and that's what's so fun about collecting. So get involved, and as always, if you like Marvel Legends, then guess what? You're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button. Hit all on the notification bell. Don't miss out on a video. And please hit that join button. Become a channel member. Either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. Honestly, come and get involved on a live stream in 2023. Hit that join button and come and join me on Legends and Liquor and talk some toys, because I'm sure this year we're going to have plenty of stuff to talk about. But as always, you can follow along on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And don't be shy, you can tweet me on Twitter at Dan Who Reviews. And until then, people, my name is Dan W. And I will, of course, see you on the next one.